Assalamu alaikum all. Today I'm going to be talking about what I do when I get paid with my paycheck every month. And back in the day, basically I'd get paid and I'd have no idea where my money would be going. And at the end of the month, I'd have like no money and I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? I was spending my money on things like, going to these fancy restaurants that weren't very good and charge a lot of money for these mocktails that are just full of ice. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's like £10 and it's just full of ice and yeah, it's like crazy. And and I used to have all these monthly subscriptions and things like that I've just sort of cut down now. And now my money is automated, so I don't even have to think about saving and investment and stuff like that. And this is something that I've learned from Ramit Sethi. He did a really good video recently about this, and I've kind of linked that in my description. And I'm going to kind of explain how I do this as a Muslim. So yeah, I just want to say welcome to Simple Muslim Money, which is all about simple halal investing and personal finance for all Muslims. Now, one of the first things I want to talk about is putting your money on offense. So this is what Ramit Sethi talks about. Like most of the time we play defense with our money. We just have our money and we just kind of spend whatever we have. And we're like, okay, I've just got this little bit amount left. I'm just going to try and save that or just leave it in my sort of account. But what I'm talking about is trying to actually be more active with our money and being more intentional. And the first thing is to set up a budget. I've spoken about this before as well. And if you check out my previous video, I've did the budget in how I kind of manage my money. And it's so important to know that, just to know how much money you're spending and how much to sort of set aside for your kind of regular spending. Like I have things like, Netflix and just going out and stuff like that. So I have a rough idea in terms of how much money I use, but I don't spend money in these fancy Instagram-y type restaurants anymore just because the food isn't that good. And I might try to go somewhere like Non-Stop we have in London, which is really good. They do like fresh naans and stuff like that, and it's a really good like value, like £7.50 for a chai and a naan. It's really good. And the other thing I'd say is just keep that budget really simple. And also a really important thing that I found that's works really well for me is just avoid credit cards. They confuse things, they charge you, then you don't get paid for another month. You have to kind of then pay them back. You have to wait for a statement. It just kind of confuses things and you feel like you've got more money than you actually have. And then I ended up with a 5k debt in no time. And I can't even remember what I've bought that could even gone up to 5k. So yeah, that was crazy. And one of the things is just about automating as much as you can. So that includes all bills, like all of that sort of stuff. And I'm going to kind of talk about that next. And basically, one of the things is that when you automate your bills, in the UK, we have things called direct debits, or you could even do it on your card as well. So that a bill just comes out automatically out your account. So, you don't even have to think about it. And another thing is that I really like Ramit Sethi talked about this, is try and get your bills coming out early in the month. So all that money's gone and the money that you have left, okay, this is the money I have left in my account. Otherwise it gets a bit confusing if you've got bills coming out here, there and everywhere. So yeah, that's something I try and do. I have most of my bills coming out around the start of the month, but not all of them. And yeah, another great thing is that once you set it up once, it happens over and over again. You don't have to think about it. It's just beautiful. I mean, like this system just works really well. Whatever you do, you just spend like $10-20, doing it and, having, and you just kind of appreciate the beauty of this. And also another thing is, and Ramit Sethi talks about, is that, if I don't automate, then it doesn't happen. If I don't automate saving my money, automate investing, if I don't automate, paying things off and stuff like that, it just does not happen. So yeah, it's so important to do this. And yeah, I'll just give you a quick sort of automation overview. So you can see this diagram here. So, once my monthly pay comes in, the first thing is like the work pension. So this comes out before it even hits my account. It goes into my work pension. And I'm going to talk about that's really important. Then it's about a £1,000 fund. Then it's about dealing with debt. Then it's about setting up your emergency fund. And then it's going into investments. I kind of like to think about it like this. And this is what I've seen Dave Ramsey, Ramit Sethi, like a few other people kind of, talk similar sort of things. And I talk about how I do it. And one of the most important things is to connect your accounts. Now, what this means is if you've got money going from one account to another account. So for example, I have money from my current account and it goes into a cash ISA account that is like an Islamic one that kind of earns the profit on it. Then I have them connected up so that money automatically goes into that every month. So yeah, so it's really important just kind of get all these connections and stuff set up. You need your logins and things like that for your different savings accounts, bank accounts, ISAs, investment accounts, pension accounts potentially. Yeah, there's so many things you could do. And you could kind of automate all of this stuff with standing orders and regular investments and all this sort of stuff. And I want to kind of talk about that a bit more. And one of the first things I would say is get the employer match with your pension at work. And basically in the UK, this is pretty easy. Like as soon as you set up a new job and you start a new job, you automatically kind of get put into the pension. But however, once you get put into the pension, investigate, like set it up so it's an Islamic pension as well. So you have the pension set up, but it's up to you. You can sort of decide where that money gets invested into for your pension. So there's loads of sort of Islamic options out there. So that's something I didn't know about before. So now I've kind of made sure my pensions are like that. And and the reason why getting the pension set up, and even if you don't fully understand what pensions are and how much they do, you get free money from your company. Your company puts free money into the pension. That's like a typical benefit that most people have, and it's to encourage you to save for your retirement. So yeah, that's why it's really good to get that. I mean, if you're really, really struggling and you can't put that money into the pension and you need that cash like straight away, then maybe not. But I think in most cases that should be done. And then the next thing I'll talk about is having £1,000 saved. Now, this is something Dave Ramsey talks about. It's just to get you, if there's a little emergency pops up, there's a problem with your car, or I don't know, your pay got delayed, or like you were switching jobs and you just had this bit of a gap, just to deal with these little things that just kind of pop up. Like, I don't know, your kids' shoes got lost or something, you need to buy a new pair, or you know, some uniform or something. Yeah, just have that, just to deal with these kind of little kind of emergencies and issues and stuff like that. So try and get that saved up, and I kind of have that automated so that, you know, I'm trying to save a little bit of money to get that. And yeah, I have kind of got a bit of an emergency fund saved up, so yeah, that's quite good. And then you may be thinking, what about debt? So what I would say is kind of pay the minimum in your debt until you have that £1,000 saved up to help you with all these kind of emergencies, because it kind of, like, you know, just gives you that buffer to deal with stuff. Like if you're paying off debt and then some emergency comes up, that's just going to kind of derail you massively. And this is what Dave Ramsey talks a lot about as well. Okay, so once you have £1,000, then you really start paying off debt. And I really like Dave Ramsey's method, which is the snowball method. So what you do is pay off the smallest debt first. And then once you've paid that off, so you just pay that off monthly, however much you can kind of give towards that, and you pay that off. And then once you've paid off that smallest debt, you use that money and then you put that into the next debt to pay off. So now you've got, you know, you're paying the minimums on everything, but you're paying a bit extra on that smallest debt just to try and get that out the way. Once you got that out the way, you'll have a bit of extra money to pay the next smallest debt, and you kind of just keep building it up like a snowball, like a snowball, like a snowball. And you know, before you know it, you've got like really good momentum going. You can do it the opposite way, where you pay off the debt that's, you know, charging the highest interest or what have you. And but I really find I like this way of doing the smallest debt first, just because money, as Dave Ramsey talks about, it's like 90% in your head, it's 90% mental, and it's a really good way to kind of tackle your debt. Then once you've done that, you're like in a really good position. So alhamdulillah, you know, I don't have any sort of major debt or anything like that. The next is to kind of set up my emergency fund on autopilot. So every month I've just got money kind of just saving automatically. It just goes into like a savings account, and you know, that's just my emergency fund. And I'm trying to kind of build it up to about 6 months worth of expenses. I'm not quite there yet. And you know, I got made redundant before, and just by having that, like, just makes a massive difference. You know, it just means I could ride out these sort of storms and problems that come up. Like my boiler went the other day, that cost like $2,000 or, you know, $3,000 to kind of fix. And then we had a problem with our roof that was like £4,000, and these are all kind of unexpected expenses. We had a problem with our car, so, and alhamdulillah, we were able to kind of deal with that because we had the savings in place. And then after the emergency fund, the next thing I would do is, like, you know, I start thinking about investing, and what I like to do is invest in a stocks and shares ISA. In America, they have like a Roth IRA, and the idea is investing in those is like, it's fantastic because it gives you like a tax benefit. So I just kind of invest in that, and I just kind of invest in sort of Islamic funds, and this is really key. It's quite easy to do actually, but you know, you just kind of got to go through those steps. You just need, you know, get over that kind of resistance and just kind of do those things. And once you set it up, it's fantastic. So the first one is just deposit money into your ISA regularly. So have your current account set up so that money regularly goes from your current account into your investment account. So I have my investment account with AJ Bell. So I've got money that comes from my regular bank account and goes straight into AJ Bell every month. It's just a fixed amount. The second step is that money within AJ Bell, I log in. So it could be whatever platform you're using. And then I make sure that money's invested regularly every month. So yeah, it's important to not just move money into your investment account, but to make sure that it's actually invested. And Ramit Sethi talks about this, you know, just start with £20. Once you see it working, you will love it, and you kind of see how it works. You just got this money regularly kind of investing. You got money kind of regularly getting saved. Yeah, it's fantastic. That then raises the question, what do you do with any sort of extra money? And that's a really good position to be in. And you could like invest that money, which is great. And then you kind of use that power of compounding. You could put more money into your property and try and pay off your sort of home finance, which is what we're doing. We're kind of putting a bit of extra money into that because that can make a big difference. It can reduce your, your finance sort of length down from like, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, just by adding extra, say £50, £100 a year. Another thing is to put more money into your pension as well. So that's something I've been thinking about. The only thing with that is it's kind of locked away for a long time. So maybe I'm just putting a little bit away at the moment. But yeah, potentially I might increase that, especially as I get older. Another thing is invest for your kids, which is what I'm doing as well. So I'm investing like a small amount for them as well, just letting that kind of compound. One of my children has special needs as well, so I definitely will make sure I've got kind of a lump sum saved up for that as well, just in case there's anything they need to do. And all of this stuff is kind of automated as well. Next one is like saving for holiday. So we're going to France in the summer and we've been kind of saving for that, and we're saving up some sort of spending money for that as well. And another thing I'm doing is investing in a second income. So doing things like YouTube and stuff like that. I'm thinking about how can I get some extra income to supplement my regular job. So I'm looking at things like courses and stuff like that. So yeah, that's something that's really kind of, can really kind of move the needle massively. And also I would say, like, don't forget about charity and Zakat as well. Like, it's important to kind of give back, and Zakat is like an obligation on Muslims. And with Ramadan coming up, a lot of people are now pay their Zakat in Ramadan, which is what I'm planning to do as well. So yeah, that's another thing to think about. But ultimately, automation is amazing, and it's quite simple, the whole concept and everything like that. You just need that little bit of effort just to kind of set it up. And and if you've enjoyed this video, please check out my other video where I talk about how I manage my budget for 2024.